Yo, what's up? This is Shadow Rock and Pro for one of the Floor Gangs and Knuckleneck Tribe, and you're watching The Trades, the show about breaking hip hop and the business of. What's up, y'all? So it's been a while since we've been doing a live. We did a live out here. The last time I was on, I was basically I covered the finals of the Red Bull BC1 World Finals with Lee from the Ruggeds and Victor from the Squadron and Red Bull BC1. And you can check that out right here on the Pro for One channel. Really dope battle, man. Actually, it was super, super close. Again, I didn't see the whole thing, right? I only saw the finals. So from whatever movements they did, it maybe they repeated earlier. I don't know. But from what I saw, and what I reviewed and commentated on, really dope. Congrats to Victor again. That's my boy right there. And recently, I just posted, I reposted an interview with Charlie Rock from the original Zulu Kings when I did that interview back in 2017. So I was just like, yo, I gotta put this up because like a lot of this information, like so when Charlie Rock's on Michael Wayne TV, Michael Wayne is not a b-boy, he's just like kind of a Bronx historian. So, and he didn't even realize that like popping is from the West Coast and stuff like that. So what I wanted to do back then was like, as a practicing b-boy, right? I'm like still at it at 47 years old, I wanted to interview him. That was like now that's 5 years ago. Holy crap. And I was like, since I'm, and that was a interview that was on Facebook. So I was like, no, I need to download this footage. And even though it was a phone interview, it was just my face, right? Like what you have right now. I was like, I need to like put this up and document this because he says some, he puts down game, right? That's the whole point of the trades, right? We always try to document and see like all the stories, right? We're trying to get all the narratives, right? And document it and put it down so that way, for the future, they can reference this. So we have a really, really great show today. Go to the chat real quick. Yo, Drift says, what's up? Drift from Hybrid Crew. What up, man? This is gonna be dope. This is like, okay, I don't want to spoil everything. Let me clean do a little house cleaning first before we start the show. So first of all, before we get started, 65% of you are not subscribed. You guys actually helped me get to 1,000, subscribers. Thank you very much. I still need 4,000, or actually now 3,000 hours of watch time before I get monetized. But you know what? You can help. You can tell a friend, and they can, interact in the chat. You can like and subscribe. I'm still, the more subscribers I could get to that goal faster, and then we could actually up the level of production out here, right? And then we could bring out, more guests in person, and you can help me get a set, and it'd be very welcomed if you guys can. Plus, it helps everything. So again, 65%. Actually, I didn't even edit this. It's actually about 80% of you watching and you haven't subscribed. So tell a friend, click the like, and click the bell for notifications. And then the other thing is, of course, Zen World CBD. It's from the cannabis plant, but it's not like, THC. This is CBD. And what's good with CBD is that it helps with inflammation and anxiety. And for someone like me that still actively competes at 47 years old, and to still do all the stuff that I do, front flips, back flips, twists, air flares, I need to have an advantage over you guys because you guys' repair time is faster. So I use CBD, and the company that sponsors this show is ZenWorld. Go to zenworld.com and you can see some of their products. One is the nano drops. You kind of put this in your coffee, water, or sports drink, and again, reduces inflammation, which is like the big cause of a lot of sickness. And if you don't want to ingest it, you can always get the topical, right? It's called the CBD Freeze by Zen World, and you just put it on, and it works like a icy hot, but the difference is there's CBD in it, so it's not just warming up those muscles. This will actually help repair it. Go to zinworld.com, use the promo code PROFO1 and get 10% off. So why not save money while you're, doing your thing, right? While you're repairing and healing. All right, before we get to the guest, one more for the chat. My man, the historian himself, Pluto7, TBB. What's up, yo? He actually, Pluto helped me get this guest right here. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, again, I just reposted the Charlie Rock interview. And again, that's Facebook. And it was just a phone interview with my face talking. We're in YouTube, man, and we're using StreamYard, so we can actually pull out footage while we're talking and, just go with that. Without further ado, my man, first generation B-boy, we got Dancing Doug. What's up, Doug?
What's up, my brother?
How you doing? Thank you for being on the trades, man. So, like I said, I go the gambit, man. I go from like now to back then. I don't think a lot of guys my age or in the scene that, like, the general consensus for most B-boys and B-girls is like, oh, old school. You mean Beat Street? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you mean Star Wars? And I'm like, there's like before that, right? You know what I mean? So let's start with just your personal history. Like, how did you where in the Bronx did you grow up? And was the first time you started to see the influence of what we became hip hop?
I actually grew up in Harlem.
Okay. And, shoot. Okay. So you're not from the Bronx. See, I'm learning right now. Okay.
Right. I'm actually from Harlem. I went to high school. I went to high school in the Bronx, and my girlfriend lived in the Bronx up on University Avenue in Burnside. And so I was like 13 when I met her. So I would go to her house, and when I was at her house, I actually met Coke LaRock and Cool Herc at her house.
Oh shoot! Okay.
And so that was on Burnside University. If you go straight down Burnside Avenue, at the very bottom of Burnside Jerome, on one side of the street, on the uptown side, on the east uptown side, is the Hevelo, and on the across the street, on the west downtown side, is the Twilight Zone. So when Cool Herc started having his parties at 1520 Cedric Avenue, we would go party there. His first place, the first club he actually got to expand with was at the Twilight Zone.
Okay.
The Twilight Zone, we moved across the street diagonally to the Hevelo.
All right.
The Hevelo, we moved downtown on Jerome down to Mount Eden with the Executive Playhouse, and that's where it really blew up at, the Executive Playhouse.
Okay, so these are some of the names I've heard, right? Not just 1520 Cedric, but like Charlie Rock talked about the Hevelo. I've heard, he's talked about, Twilight Zone. So this is like kind of like the beginnings of it, right? This is the beginnings of it. So okay, so I want to actually pull up some pictures and stuff from that time period because I think it's super interesting. Because obviously this is like, again, when people think like, old school, they're like, Pumas and sweatsuits, you know what I mean? Like they're thinking about the 80s, right? But here we go. This is you, right?
Yep, 17.
There you go. So was this already when all those like the Hevelo was going on, like like
that's actually the Parkside Plaza, which is right across around the corner from the Executive Playhouse. That was when I graduated from high school. And matter of fact, Dottie, who was the mother of Easy Al and Deucey, the big girl Deucey, she made that soup for me, as a matter of fact.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. This is not like the typical, not yet of the broke, like kind of like broke sweatpants, this and that. This is kind of like, this is the stay fly, the get fresh, stay fly period for you guys, right?
Yeah. Now see, you got to understand too that in back in those days, the guys from the Bronx, and I'll be real, break it down, be realistic with you. The guys who made money that hustled came to Harlem to hustle. See, Harlem was right across the bridge from the Bronx. We were like literally 161st Street, the next stop on the train station from where I lived in the Polo Grounds, where the Rucker Park was at. So I could ride my bike to the Bronx, just right across the bridge. It's like 5 blocks away. So I was closer to the Hevelo and to 1520 Cedric than you are to the South Bronx from there. It was only like about 10, 15 blocks away. So, but because I hung out in the Bronx the whole time, my whole teenage years, People always thought I came from the Bronx, but I actually came from
Okay.
Harlem. I would ride back and forth every day on my bike.
All right.
But
So were there a lot of people from Harlem going out to like these clubs?
not a lot. There was some, but
Okay.
not a lot. Like Kurt. Matter of
Okay.
fact, when you see this shirt, you'll see Charlie Rock,
Oh
Trixie,
shoot.
Trixie, me, Sasa, Charlie Rock, and Curtis Blow.
Word. Okay. Yeah.
Charlie's over here. Sasa's down here. Trixie's standing up over there. Kurt's next to me, and I have the black shirt on. And that's
Word.
the first generation. And Charlie was our link between our guys and the Zulu Nation. Because then you see the first, it was no crews when we started. It was all individuals.
Right. Right.
So you
Right.
had Trixie being the first B-boy, first breakdancer, because Trixie grew up with Kool Herc. So he was in high school with him and everything. So he grew up there. He was the best dancer up there. I came from
Right.
Harlem and I started dancing against him right away. So it was just me against him all the time. And
Right.
then Sasa, Bobo, they were right behind us, age-wise. So you had Trixie and Wallace D, me and my man Teeny Rock. And we would
Right.
dance against them. And then you had Sasa and Bobo coming up. And then after Sasa and Bobo, then you had the twins and Clark Kent. And you had
Okay.
James Bond,
Right.
Rossi, Chubby. Then we had our girls. We had Ducey, Aileen, Dancing Doll, Mother Earth, Sister Boo, Janet Rock, Kimmy, which was Trixie's younger sister Kimmy, and Rossi too. That was his younger brother. All of the whole Myers family were a bunch of break dancers.
Right. So you guys weren't even considered, like, you guys didn't call yourselves B-boys or B-girls yet. You guys were calling yourselves break dancers, right?
Right. It wasn't until like 75 that Kirk and Copeland Rock started. They called Sasa B-boy.
Okay.
We were breaking boys. They said, you breaking boys. They're
Right.
breaking because we were breaking on that part of the record. So they call
Right.
them, break dancers or breaking boys. Then they start
Right.
saying B-boy. And they say Sasa, the first person that used the expression B-boy, that gave the
Okay.
Sasa, saying, you're A1, you're
Right.
A1, B-boy.
Right.
So and from that point, they start calling us B-boys from that point on.
Right. Okay. So that's crazy. So, like, because this is obviously as dancers, right? We're like, well, what were the moves you were doing, right? Because obviously it wasn't like the windmill wasn't created yet and stuff like that.
Mhm.
What was like kind of like the thing, like, because obviously there's like, just your social dances, right? Like, if I look at some 60s dances, there's something like, in the 50s, the twist, the monkey, the mashed potato. Did these social dances like influence like how you guys got creative and start to build the foundation that eventually became what we had today?
So you look at when it first started, there was what people was called burning. Where
Right.
you just sort of you dance and try to embarrass the other person, called burning.
Yeah.
What happened was, because when Herc created the merry-go-round
Right.
and the songs would play, we would dance the entire record. Then when that break in the song came, you would dance, do your best moves to that break part. When
Right.
Herc created the merry-go-round and made the break, extend the break, go longer and longer and longer and longer, you had to think of more things to do each time. And so,
Right.
because everybody came to Herc's parties, that's why a lot of times you hear a lot of people saying, it wasn't this, it wasn't that, it didn't really start then. It wasn't so much that people were dancing before they got to Herc's, people were on the mic before they came to Herc's, people did graffiti before they came to Herc's, people were DJ before they came to Herc's. But at Herc's parties, it all came together at one time with one spot, had everything going on at one time. And so
Right.
you had DJs like Smokey over in the Bronx. You had Mario way over the other side. You had Bam over in Bronx River. You had Flash over the South Bronx. All of them were coming to Herc's parties. And so
Right.
guys like Bobo, who was one of our best dancers, was a Smokatron. Smokey had his own dances called the Smokatrons. Sister Boo
Okay.
was a Smokatron. James Bond was a Smokatron. But they
Okay.
came to Herc's. Charlie Rock was a Zulu king. He came to Herc's to get his reputation.
Right.
You didn't come to Herc's to get your reputation. Anybody
Yeah.
tell you that. So that's what they said. It all starts there. That's what they mean by that, because everybody had come to Herc's, and because Herc had his own playlist of these songs that he would black out the album of days, so you couldn't see what it was.
Yeah.
He found these crazy songs with that one little bit of the beat on it. And he
Right.
kicked that one bit of the beat and he cut that over and over. And that became, you got to do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. a little bit
So
more.
was he spinning different from like the Twilight Zone and Hivalo? Like would he spin like kind of differently from the clubs and from like just kind of like the hall parties and stuff like that?
It was evolving, because when he first started, he was still playing some of the songs, but when he first, very first started, he didn't have the merry-go-round yet. That didn't come. So I
Right,
think that's where he belonged.
right,
So he just was playing like the bad music though. I mean, we were just going at it, going at it, going at it. But he started breaking it more. But he had his own songs though. That's the whole thing. It was the music that he was playing. No one else was playing those kind of songs though. Like the
right.
Mexican. Those songs.
Okay, word.
Things
So
like that.
so no one else, so everyone was playing more this is like basically that Philadelphia 4/4 funk disco stuff, right? But
Right.
he would throw in kind of like that the Mexican all of a sudden.
That's Elaine right there with the white jacket. That was my girl's cousin. That's Elaine with the
Word.
white jacket there to the left. That's Elaine. Hey, look at Elaine.
I mean, this is the only footage that's out there, right? Like everyone went like, you know what I mean? Like but Charlie Rock was talking about Herc probably has these reels, but no one has seen them yet, right? Like he probably has more. He has more, which obviously we all want to see, right? We all want to see that footage. We want to, we want to catch a vibe because even in that social atmosphere, just a basic bounce you guys are doing. You know what I mean? Like, and there was like this clip of Charlie Rock trying to talk about the outlaw and stuff like that. And which is a precursor to what we call like the modern day cross step, like what B-boy, it's just, but the way he did it had a little bit of more of a groove to it, like it wasn't so like, when you see B-boys now, it's just like step, go into like a crazy flip. You know what I mean?
It was dancing first. It was dancing. You had to be a good dancer. It was not like a lot of guys now. I can see a great athlete that can break without having to really be a good dancer because they had such good power moves that they could just break. That wouldn't go over back in the days. You had to be a good dancer first because Herc parties, it wasn't just break music. He played jazz music. He played a couple of disco songs and he played slow songs. So you had to be able to grind. It's a dance called the 500 where you hit the grind and go down to the ground, hold the girl, hold the 500. You couldn't dance with a girl slow dance. They dead you out. Okay, what you did on the floor, you had to be able to grind too.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I mean that's the thing because even for me, right, being from the West Coast, I live in San Francisco, and when we grew up in the early '90s, this is before competition, right? So it was kind of like it was a club for kids, right? They would play, some of the music for us electro, right? We're breaking to electro. But at the end of the night, they're playing Jodeci, and then we're going to go talk to a girl. Like that don't exist no more. Like it just seemed like that whole social aspect don't exist, right? It was that's just what it is.
And see, and I should tell people, I said the difference is when you learn to grind, and I mean this, you learn to really you learn to control yourself with a woman. You learn to control yourself because you're up close to them, and you go like you're really into it. That was really teaching you how to make love on the floor. I'm telling you, that's what it was. That's what it was. I'm being real. They don't do that now. There's no touching. The girls over here, the guys over here. Disconnect. It's a disconnect.
Yeah. Because even for me, I say it's like when we go to these events, they're competitions and they're events, but they're not jams. Like it's not a jam. Like again, a jam is like a club for kids. Like if you weren't old enough to go to the club, but you could go to this party that's like a club. That's still close. They play the same music, but everyone's at a certain age, right? And I'm sure all y'all was sneaking into the club before you guys were 18 or 21 and doing all that anyway.
I was 13 sneaking into the Golden Dolphin. You had to put black socks over your sneakers to make them get shoes on, and you sneak in, So I've been sneaking up my whole life. I've been sneaking to parties. So that was just how I was,
I mean, look at you. Like you basically own a bar now, right? Like you like the background is like you've been in this element your whole life, right?
Yeah, I've been blessed. I've been blessed.
Yeah. So okay, let me go to the chat real quick. Again, Pluto's shout out to Dr. Cologne from Urban Genesis with Dr. Cologne. He just reposted my thing, a clip of Charlie Rock. They're talking to each other. He's talking about where the B-Boys in '73 party. And then Pluto says, I heard Herc have some reels. Okay, so let's talk about that. So obviously, we're going to talk about the evolution of the movement, right? Because obviously, like from what I've heard, as far as like the rock dance, right? Like supposedly that dance was done all over.
Later, 75.
Okay, so this is like, would you say this is kind of like a precursor to kind of this? Even like there's
You
like
can
guys like
see
Frank Rojas and Enoch who are from the Bronx who are Latin American, but they do like
the
when they
rock
rock,
thing.
it's more groove, dancey groove, like not so much the burn. Like there's a little bit of burns, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, we'll see. So Frank had told me something. He said he never even heard of Cool Herc. He told me when he was younger. He didn't even hear Cool
Okay,
Herc before.
and we're talking about Frank
So
Rojas right now, right?
Frank Rojas, right.
Yeah, word, word,
Yeah, he's
word.
like he's the king of rock, as far as I'm
Right.
concerned, king of rock.
Okay.
But he told me when I spoke to him, he said he never even heard of Cool Herc when he was young.
Word.
So we got to a discussion about another person. He was saying that person was dancing with me, so he couldn't have been a b-boy. So I'm not bringing the person's name up, but he said he couldn't have been a b-boy. But the bottom line was that we were doing that stuff at Herc's parties in 73, 74, 75. And so then as it spread, that's you see a Bronx River, I think it was in January when the Zulu King started in January of 75. When Bam started the Zulu Kings, the five Zulu masters and the Zulu Kings, then I think it was Batch of TBB told me he had to go to BAM to get permission to start his breaking crew because they were a graffiti writing crew. TBB was
Right.
and
That's
they went.
yeah. That was the
He
word.
got
Yeah.
permission to start his breakdancing thing. That's 75 into 76. So that's when
Right.
now Batch is critical because Batch introduced the rock dance into the culture.
Mm.
And so that comes after us. We were doing our thing, like stepping our thing. So this starts in probably more the not the South Bronx, but like farther east part of the Bronx. And so
Right.
we totally were disconnected. So when someone told me recently, "Oh, you used to up rock," and I said, "What's that? I never even heard of up rock before." That's
Yeah. So all right, I'm pulling out. See, that's the thing. Now I'm pulling out. See, this is why I'm pulling out. Like this is Frank Rojas right here. I pulled him up real quick. You could tell, like obviously, you could see kind of like the disco influence, right? Like kind of like the
right.
hustle influence and stuff like that. And when I see Charlie kind of do moves, right? I see like for whatever Michael Wayne footage is, and he's already at least 50 at that point. Obviously, there's a certain groove that you guys have, right?
Yeah,
Like
now Frank was a dancer, you know.
right,
Now he wasn't going on the floor breaking and stuff, but he was a dancer.
right, right,
So our thing was, I never seen him dance at all. I never seen
right.
him do it. We
Yeah,
used to dance, but see, when they were doing the step, like coming across the first b-boy step, as I call it,
right.
I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
did that because
Word.
everybody did that. I didn't want to disappoint everybody else, so I wouldn't do
Right,
that because everyone else was doing that. So I would go across step rather than going across this way like everybody was doing. I would come across this way and stay forward and cut across this way. That's how I would do mine because I didn't want to look like everybody else. So
right,
there was no b-boy style yet. It was just us all dancing against each other, and that created like the people started adding their own little moves on. We had what they call
right,
signature moves. You know, I would do the
right,
Charlie Chaplin or the tightrope or the Mexican. You know, with the two cucarachas there. I would do the little like a Mexican dance. I wore a sombrero, okay, and throw the sombrero down and dance around my sombrero. You know, and or I
right,
do or walk the tightrope and fall off my tightrope into my break that way. But that's how we
right,
started. So the signature moves that we all had, because we didn't have crews yet. There was no crew yet.
right,
So
right,
then when the Zulu Nation guys started, the Zulu Kings, some of them like Pow Wow and them would say they saw Trixie. They said, well, Trixie influenced him to start breaking. So then you got
right,
these other guys, and they start taking it a little bit further, a little bit further. So you can see
right,
the dance start to evolve with more and more
right,
steps and more moves being brought into it from the very beginning, from the burning into the break dancing to
yeah.
more of the rock dancing and then the breaking only.
Okay. So were you already doing like drops? Like were you doing transitions to the floor already, or not? Just maybe tiny, maybe a James Brown split? Like
Well, no, I never split. But what I
okay,
would do is I'd walk a tightrope and fall off the tightrope to the ground, turn over, and start doing and I would do what they call the curly, which is running around in a circle like
okay,
Cody
yeah,
from the
You
Three
see Homer
Stooges.
Simpson do it, like the woo
Right,
woo.
running around in a circle. Yeah, so we had different moves that you would do to get on the ground. And really, I'm gonna tell you something. The first break move on the ground, and I'm gonna tell you who did it, was a guy named Carl Wright. And what happened
Okay,
was we could burn people instead of just like walk up and try to mush them or take their hat off or throw their hat in the ground, whatever. Carl Wright started trying to trip people. He would fall down and cross his leg and hop up to you and pull your legs out. And that's how we
Okay.
started going to the ground. I don't care what nobody says. That's the first move to music of going to the ground. And
Wow.
I started going down and going backwards and crawling backwards, trying to pull their legs out. I got chased out of a bunch of parties for that because I go someplace there and I trip the people up, and that was a real hard burn.
I
And they said,
mean, okay, so when Charlie Rock was like, "Yeah, I got burned one time. This guy took a bag of chips and pushed it." But I was like, "Damn, you guys were straight up disrespect. Like it
oh yeah,
wasn't
it was
like
rough.
fake
It was,
burn. You're actually like making contact. Like,
yeah, it was rough. It
you know
was
what I
rough.
mean?
Yeah,
So,
I got chased
so
out of a bunch of parties for that.
yeah. So again, when I reposted the Charlie Rock interview, and he was talking about like it was the twins that really started to like really go to the ground, like and like kind of like the progenitor of like staying there, right? And let me pull up that picture real quick. Were you still around? Because I know a lot of guys were like in and out, right? They were like they kind of just like were over it. They grew up. Charlie was like, "Yo, by 77, I'm already out. Like I
Mhm.
grew up. I'm old." Like, were you still around when the twins were starting to like build kind of the foundation of what was going to
Well,
happen next?
the twins were
When
still
Batch and them took
the
it,
twins were with us at the time, the very beginning.
right?
The twins was with us, but they were still too young. They couldn't dance against me because I was one of the established older guys.
Got
But
it.
but they used to tell me they would take some of my moves to go to Chuck Center, and this is what Clark Kent told me. They would take practice some of my moves to go to Chuck Center and try it out in Chuck Center because there was a dance spot in Harlem called Chuck Center, and people would go
Okay.
between Chuck Center and up to the Hurt parties, back and forth. So a lot
Okay.
of people know that they don't know about Chuck Center, but Chuck Center was a spot on 116th Street on the east side, and a lot of breakdancers would go there and dance, and then go up and they would practice some of the moves there. But they were younger than I was, but they were really good, but they were still younger than I was. Clark
Oh,
Kent, the twins, Rossi, because it's Rossi is Trixie's younger brother, so
okay.
it's our generation, and they're right under us. So they
Right.
like as a matter of fact, the twins' older brother Rodney was in my class in school, in high school. So me and him went to
Word.
school together. So we they were like the young guys to us, but they still was there. They was with us. They were still there. So we'd have a big
Right.
circle over here, smaller circles over around, like over here, where they be dancing at the time. But as we transition out, they transitioned in and became the star of the show. You
Right.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just evolution.
Yeah. So so okay, we're about so all right. So we're going from the twins, right? And then what you guys were doing, because like and again, I have to give credits where credits due. Like Michael Wayne TV, I watch a lot of that footage because I'm trying to learn. And there's Charlie and Mike G. They talk about like we did the helicopter, which is what we call a sweep, right? Or like the tap dancer sweep, right?
Mhm.
And was that a move that you guys did, or was that kind of a little bit after you?
No, see, everybody had their own moves.
Okay. Okay.
I never did that. I would do
Right.
my mine was that curly move, the tightrope, the motorcycle, the Charlie Chaplin, the Mexican, the
Right.
bird, So I had my particular move, but then I would dance in between them, and then you do your little break. And once you hit the ground, you start doing a bunch of stuff on the ground.
Right.
So that
Right.
so that was the first thing. So everyone had their own moves. Rossi was underdog. He go into a phone booth, act like that. James Bond, there was a show on TV called Get Smart, where the guy was
Okay.
talking to his shoe. James
All
Bond
right.
would do the robot and go up to you, do the robot, fall down, pull off his sneaker, start talking to his sneaker. He's on the ground like this, get back
Right.
up and pop him in the head with the sneaker. That was
Right.
his move. And so that was a burn. Like, oh, the whole crowd
Right.
go crazy.
Yeah.
Trixie pulled the dildo out on me. That was the move. That was people still talk about that. They still talk about that. He pulled the damn dildo. I started jerking up for the damn dildo. I'm like, oh, is that the one time I lost? That's the one time I lost. It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
I mean,
You
yeah,
know?
so that's what it seems like, right? A lot of it was like character type stuff. It was
Yeah.
based on characters, right? A lot of it was it wasn't so technical. It was just like, it was clowning. Like,
It was
Charlie Rock
fun.
talk about the peeing like a dog, like stuff like that, right?
It was
Like,
fun. It was all, you think of something fun, the crowd will go crazy. It was something creative and fun, but you had to be able to dance and do it. You had to
right,
dance and pull your move off while you were dancing, and that's what
right,
made it fun. The crowd would come. People came to Herc's every week because they wanted to see the break dancers every week. And that's
right,
what made Herc spot the spot, because everybody came to Herc Spot to see the break dances because every week is
Yeah.
something different. See, to make up something new every week. Every week it be something new.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, okay. So, like, again, we're going to go to the twins, right? Because obviously they were like younger than you guys. And you've heard on in Fresh as Kids, like that done the Charlie Chaplin. So if you're the one who did it and they took that, they took that concept and they're twins and stuff like that. And then they start going to the floor. It seems like the name that I keep hearing the link to what from like the twins and let's say like Abby and them, and maybe you could correct me and like maybe you could be more specific, was Beaver. This is a name that keeps being talked about, was Beaver. Like even Mike G talked about like, well, we did front sweeps or helicopters, but Beaver did it reversed. And I started copying Beaver even though he was younger than us, right? And that's where you hear about Wiggles talk about Beaver. Like, Baby Zulu Beaver. So like, were you around for that, or was it just like, was that after you, or like, you saw it, or?
That was after me. Okay. But I interviewed Beaver, and matter of fact, I got his awards. We put him into the Hall of Fame. I got his awards here. I'll take him to him as a matter of fact. But when I spoke to him, he was telling me because see, Beaver was a baby Zulu. He was named that he was baby Shaka. Shaka was Squirpy. He just passed away last week, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I saw. I think Pluto posted that. Yeah,
right. Shaka and Beaver was his protege per se. But from what I gathered, Beaver outdid everybody after a while. And he said they was doing it one way, he was able to do it in reverse. And he told me God was still called the challenger. He's a bishop designate now. He's really deep into the church. And he said God called him to try to challenge him to this day. He's like, yo, bro, I'm out. I'm out the game now. But.
But that, like I said, like it seems like that was like kind of like the link, right? Because now it's like because to like from I don't know, like I said, I'm still trying to research, right? Which is like it went from you guys, then you had the twins, then you had Beaver, then Abby and TBB, then all of a sudden, it's spread. The techniques starts like it seemed like from the stories I've seen online, it seems like Beaver was the first really one out of you guys to be more technical. It seemed like he was more, from what I hear, was more scientific with it, and that kind of style spread out, and which led to like kind of like the TBB style salsa and like track 2 and spy, and which created so many different crews and stuff like that.
I hear a lot of people say that Beaver inspired them, right? I hear a lot of people say that Beaver inspired them. To become seeing Beaver. So, God bless him. I mean, he's a beautiful brother. So, but you see the transition of Shaka, who, will go, that going to Herc's party. They were Bam's guys, but they would go to Herc's parties.
Right.
So that transition from Pow Wow, Shaka, all of these guys from the Zulu Kings, Charlie Rock, obviously, who go to, and they go in there, and then the Bronx River Boys pick it up and get their own thing going. Right. After a while, Bam had his own thing going because Bam may have started coming to Herc's early on, but after a while, Bam had his own thing. So Zulu Nation grew on its own and started populating on its own. They had their own identity. If the guys became such a great dancers, there's guys who can dance all over the place. You just got to be in the right place, the right environment, and have the right things around you. And just for example, if you was a good dancer and nobody knew it, you wasn't around anybody, who knew you? You were nobody because no one knew. You could be the best dancer in the world. Fred Astaire on steroids. No one knew. Unless you went to the spot when people saw you and go like, whoa. And then you got people to this day, which I still hear, guys that say, well, I made my reputation at Herc's parties. And I'm like, I never seen you. And then I asked my guys, we never seen him. And then no one saw you. Now you got to understand, Herc kept playing. After we left, Herc kept playing. Right. So people still came to Herc's party. So they got people say, I'm a Herculoid. I'm like, okay. I never knew you because you might have came in 78 after Herc got stabbed or something, 79, 8. You might have, but in terms of when he started, we consider ourselves the original Herculoids because we were the ones who started and made it jump. Right. Then who came afterwards, like, God bless you, but I can't give you that credit yet because you came after it was established. We made it. We made it. Now we made it. Other guys made it better. That's why I try to tell people it's a long line of evolution where I might be on the line here, somebody's on the line over here, but you're on that line together. As we evolve, it got better and better. Chronologically, it goes like this, but the progress line goes like that. The progress line goes up. The chronological line goes straight.
Got it. Yeah.
Goes up.
Yeah. So okay, and I bring up Beaver because with we have Dr. Cologne on, and he's like, there's like, obviously there's a big debate, Puerto Ricans in hip hop, right? And when we see like a lot of techniques, like that's why I want to link Beaver. I want to make sure Beaver was there, right? Because like Wiggles, who's a Puerto Rican guy, he talked about Beaver. You know what I mean? Everyone talked kind of like from the next was like, and it was like trying to take out Beaver. Then you heard, again, I'm a West Coast dude that's way younger. I'm not even 50 yet, right?
Right.
But then you hear the names you hear is like Beaver. Then you hear, you hear Batch, then Abby, then Track 2, then Spy. You know what I mean? But it's like and then you get the, Crazy Legs, the Ken Swift, you know what I mean? Right. Like if you look at that line, right?
Right.
So obviously, like Beaver was like kind of like the connector, like the connector from, because you guys were like, because like even in that Michael Wayne interview, like Charlie and Mike, we got old. Beaver was the young guy. You know what I mean? He was the young guy, right? And for them, and if Wiggles is going, well, he looked at Beaver. Obviously, Wiggles is younger than Beaver, right? Because he was kind of the older guy, or maybe around the same age. And that's when like it seemed like it was like more and more kids got into it, like more and more. It spread out, like maybe it was the outside jams, like you know what I mean. It wasn't some because no one, like obviously no one's going to the Playhouse and Hevlo. So when did you? So just to give a shout out to the chat with Dr. Cologne, were there Puerto Ricans around this time when you were going to the Hevlo and Executive Playhouse and Twilight Zone?
Let me say this too, because that's a touchy subject, which I think is I don't want to call it a ridiculous argument. A lot of people are saying Puerto Rico is the guest in hip hop. That's the most ridiculous, dumbest ass remark I hear people say.
Tell Lord Jamar, man, he started this. He restarted this shit.
No. Let me say this too. See, number one, if you say historically, were Puerto Ricans in at the Hevlo and the Twilight Zone, it might have been some there. I'm part Puerto Rican, so that kills the argument. I'm Cologne, so that kills it. So it doesn't make an argument. The argument's dead because I was there.
Damn! All right, I already know. Dr. Derek Cologne is gonna be like, I gotta clip this. Like,
yeah, tell him that'll kill the argument. Because see, the point is, though,
you heard it from an OG, man. Lord Jamar, like,
okay. So if that's gonna be the argument that they make over and over, it's a dumb argument because had the my Boricua brothers not picked it up and kept it going and made it better, it would have died. Because we were going to school. I wanted to go to college. I had kids. When I was in high school. I had kids. So I was a young teenage father. I went to school. I go to work. I pay for my little Similac and Pampers and shit. So I couldn't be. So the point is that even though we may have been the very first ones initially, the very, very first, but I tell somebody, you argue this way. If you're 18 years old and you see a girl who's 13, you try to step to her, you're going to jail, right?
Yeah.
But if you're 45 and the girl's 40, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a matter of relevance in time because maybe they came a couple of years later into the game in 75 and 76. That don't mean they wasn't down. In the beginning, they were down, but people say they wasn't in the beginning. In the very beginning is 73, but if you talk about 75, the difference between 73 and 75, 76 is only a couple of years. Yeah. And if they didn't pick this up, it would have died. Totally dead in its crib. It would have died.
And yeah. Go ahead. Keep going.
Rap became the relevant part of hip hop at the end of the 70s, right? Into the 80s. It became rap. With the first element being the B-boys would made it jump. It wouldn't be no hip hop without B-boys.
Yeah.
Because you had DJs everywhere. You had MCs everywhere. But Herc's party had the MC, Coke on the mic with Echo Chamber, Herc playing those crazy songs, and the B-boys made Herc spot the spot to be, and that's where hip hop blew up at. But even though there was not a lot of Puerto Ricans there was some that gathered. Had to be some people there. It wasn't their culture because they were still doing other things at the time. So don't get this thing of saying we're separate. People try to separate us all the time. We're not separate. We came from the same ghetto, same projects, the same building tenements. We live in the same areas. They were in the Bronx. It might have been a little bit more different than Harlem because Harlem was a little bit different than it was in the Bronx, culture-wise. We were a lot closer in Harlem than they were in the Bronx. A little bit more separated at that time. Because you still had the gangs out, Imperial Bachelors, Savage Skulls, the Chingalings, Black Spades, Savage Nomads, all that, the Peacemakers, all these different gangs. In Harlem, we just had GS boys. I was a GS boy. We didn't let the Black Spades come down to Harlem. You couldn't come in Harlem with that bullshit. We was like, no, you can't come in with that shit. So that was different. We had a different culture. But I do say this, though. I try to tell everybody, stop trying to separate us about that little couple of years of making it something different. It's all the same line. If I'm 73, he's 75, where's the big difference at? Yeah, it's no big difference. It's all one long line. And that's why that's why the last Hall of Fame, we had everybody there, first generation and second generation. And that was the beautiful thing. For the first time, all that crap about y'all wasn't down, y'all was this, that shit was dead. It was just like, you know what, we all B-boys. Everybody embrace each other. And that's what my whole role was. Get that thing in.
Yeah. And you were talking about this song real quick. Oh, okay, I know this song. Doug was like, what's the song? YouTube, they're gonna like, I can't play too much, but just a little bit. All right. That's it.
Doug. Martini, Dancing Doug. That was our song. Martini, Dancing Doug. That was our song.
So again, this is why I want to set this interview up, because there's all this debate, but the details is what not a lot of the historians are going to talk unless you're a B-boy that wants to do your history, because they're going to like, who's Beaver? And it seems like he was the link. He was the link to kind of like everyone, to the generational wise anyway. Generational wise, he was the link.
Yeah, well, but I couldn't deny that because I didn't know Beaver then. I know Beaver now. I didn't know Beaver then. But listen to the people I interviewed say what got me into it was hearing about Beaver or seeing Beaver. Now, someone told me, I'm gonna tell you something. A guy told me he saw Beaver get smoked at a pool.
Yeah, I heard that story too.
A lie. Beaver said I've never even been there. He said I've never even been to that pool. Then Abby told me also you couldn't even go to that spot because at that time the Italian kids up there would bust you up. He said they had to walk all the way around to go to school. They couldn't go through that area. So Abby told me that was not true, and Beaver told me he never been there. So that's what I'm telling you. Beaver said I never was there. Never was there. Period. So that's put that in your animals from Beaver from interview with Beaver. He told me that was a lie. Period.
Wow. But here's the thing. That's the thing, because back then you didn't have social media.
Right.
So you could say whatever. Hey, I'm Crazy Legs, right? But like if there was no, prior to like 81, we wouldn't know, right? He could just say that. He could put it on his shirt and, you know what I mean? Like.
Well, my thing was when I do interviews to corroborate all the statements people made, I go back to the person, I go back to somebody witnesses, ask them. And he told me never even been there, period. And then Abby told me you couldn't go that area because it was so crazy that time. They had to walk around to go to school. They had to walk all the way around the area to get to school because you couldn't go through there.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So, all right. So I'm gonna ask this question because I asked this to Charlie Rock too. So, okay. So now we went from like around your guys' time, early 70s, then we went to 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, you guys are already out. Now it's like in Manhattan, right? It's at Negrills, right? Did you go to Negrills like when Bam started to go to like Manhattan, stuff like that? No, not at all.
I was going to clubs by then. I was in a suit and tie going to clubs. I had a job then. I was going to clubs at the time.
Right. So when Charlie Rock said, yo, I went to Negrills and I finally seen Rocksteady, right? This is like 81, 82. And he was like, that don't look like anything that we used to do, right? Like he was just like, because it was more scientific. It was more intricate movements and obviously the acrobatics, right? It wasn't the burn, like make everyone laugh, like, and not even the up rock burners. Well, you're talking about full skits almost. Like what you guys were doing were like full skits, right? Whole stories, right? You know what I mean? To the music versus like, well, I'm going to hit these intricate footwork steps. Like again, Beaver being that kind of like that connection. It became super scientific, right? And obviously the music is electro. It's not necessarily the funkiest thing in the world, right? Like Bam bringing in electro and the 808s and the, that type of sound. When you first saw it again, right? The resurgence of the media presence of it, right? Like your Star Wars. Did you guys feel like you guys created that? Or was it like kind of like, it's beyond me now at this point? Like,
no, you know what though? You can see some of the basics of the moves. They still
Okay.
have them. I still see
Okay.
like the drop spin. We used to practice doing the jump drop spin on the yellow line on the train tracks. Right on the train on the platform, we practice jumping and land on the yellow line on the train track and spinning out of it. That's how we practice 161st Street at Yankee Stadium train station. We used to practice there, jump, drop, spin on that yellow drop, spinning out of it. Stupid, obviously dumb when you're young, but that's what we did though. But
But
you
you still
see
see
that move.
that.
You still see a lot of the moves that's still been there. So like Charlie Rock said something. He said, "Doug, you don't have a Lamborghini without a Model T Ford."
Right. Right.
And he said, "We're the Model T Ford." He said, "Just got to get, just embrace that." And I said, "I can live
Right.
with that." I
Right.
was in
Right.
Paris one time. I was in Paris, and because I'm a travel agent, so I travel all over the world. I'm in
Good work.
Paris, and I go to this club in Paris, and like 5 or 6 guys there dancing in the corner, real fat kid, and I saw him get down and do like my curly move, and I just
Right.
stood there looking, saying, "Look at this shit here." And the thing is, back in 80, I'd see people on the train doing it, and it's funny because I saw an interview the other day before yesterday. Some guy was saying he invented breakdancing, he invented pop locking, he invented the electric slide. One
I don't do
person,
that. Don't
he
do
said,
that.
yeah, and I'm sitting
Don't
there
do
going like,
that.
it was
There's receipts
crazy.
out there, man.
And let me tell you the funny thing was when he said it, he said, I was in a club, and let me say, he said I was in a club on 14th Street and 9th Avenue. And the guy in the interview said, "Is that like a gay club or something?" He said, "Yeah, it was a gay club." He said, "But I was there and I got on the ground and I started spinning around my butt and then I started doing some other moves. And they said, that's called breakdance. That's the thing called breakdance." He said, and the next day, this is what he said. The next day, I saw some Puerto Rican kids with some cardboard doing it. And I'm saying, yo, they screaming this guy saying that shit makes no sense at all. Like none, like zero sense at all. Because what, were they at the gay club with you and they saw you? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, excuse my language, but
Right,
it made
right.
no sense. But they let this guy
Yeah,
say all kind of crazy stuff. And I said,
yeah.
see, everyone wants to claim this now. I know guys who were in disco days who didn't let us dance in their clubs because they said, get off the
Right.
ground. You start doing, but now here it is 40 years later. Oh, I was doing hip hop back in the days. No, you wasn't. You was
Right.
doing disco back in those days because
Right.
hip hop was revolutionary.
Right.
We were away from everybody else doing our own thing. It was not part of the crowd because it was the bell bottoms and whatever the
Yeah, yeah.
disco onesies that they were
Right.
wearing, whatever cases, and we were like little gangsters. We were like
Yeah.
we would thought we was like little hood. We were fly ghetto superstars,
Right.
and we
Right.
didn't have Pumas. Pumas wasn't out yet.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we were in Converse and Pro Kids, mostly
Right.
Pro Kids. Cons and
Right.
Pro Kids was what the dance figures were back then. You wore
Yeah.
Kangos, you wore mock neck, you wore double knit pants, you wore Pro Kids. That
Right.
was your thing with a medallion on. That was that's your
Yeah.
dance look. That's your style back in those days. You had the
Yeah.
jeans, Playboy, shoes. If you got money, you go to AJ Lester's or Phil Cromfield. But most guys are going to Third Avenue in the Bronx or Delancey Street to buy their clothes. That's where the fashion was. That's what we were back in
I
those days.
thought, because what everyone says, Harlem is the one where the fashion was like fly shit, right?
And
Like,
that's the reality. That's what it is. That's the reality, though. But see, I tell people it's not to say we're going to demean somebody, but the guys who hustled from the Bronx came to Harlem because Harlem
mhm,
where the money was at. So everybody
right,
came to Harlem for that. So that's just the reality of the thing. I don't tell people to say we were better or something like that. No, because I was the Bronx more. I was like every single day I'm in the Bronx because
right.
my girlfriend mother let me spend the night there. So I'm spending the night in the Bronx. I'm 16. Spending the night in my
Right.
girlfriend's house. All my friends were like, damn, kid. Oh, man. Oh,
Yeah.
your girlfriend, but that was just crazy at the time.
Yeah. Before we start talking about the president, I just want to say everything this to everyone, and I've thought about this a lot. Again, people might have interviewed Charlie Rock that like Michael Wayne. He versus Charlie Rock, but he interviews from like kind of Bronx history. But me, when I interview him, was like, I'm coming as a B-boy, wanting to know about B-boy information, breaking information, that it be rock or breakdance or breaking, right? And the thing is, there's this parallel, and this is just to everyone. There's this parallel of skating to me, like skateboarding and breaking, which is this: when skateboarding first came out in the 50s, it was a toy, right? It was a toy for kids, right? You school around, you do your thing. Then around 1970, 75, 76, you had the Dogtown guys, the Z-Boys. What they did is they implemented surfing to the skateboard, and that changed everything. Then from that, you got your Stacy Peralta, Dogtown Z-Boys and Stacy Peralta. Like, they made it look cool, right? It wasn't like a toy. They made it like, we're using surfing maneuvers on this skateboard, right? They did this in the California. Then they snuck into the backyards and they went into the pool, empty pools because of the drought, right? And then they started going off this and that. Then there was this guy named Rodney Mullen who created the ground ollie, which is like he flipped his board. And then everyone was like, that's the time it became skating. And I related it a lot to you guys. You guys were kind of like the surfer guys. Like, you know, dancing has been around, right? Music has been around, but there was a certain particular flavor that you brought. You know what I'm saying? Then the guys after you became, it's like they created the ground ollie. They're the ones that took it. That's what the Model T thing. And I feel like that's the relation. That's just like, you took the thing that's already been there, but then you changed it. And then the guys under you changed it even further. You know what I mean?
It's evolution. It's evolution. Yeah. That's why I tell people they argue about going to the Olympics. I said that's still evolved. It's still evolution. We've evolved from this. So you see the dance. You see, if you watch the evolution, you see the burning first.
Right.
Breaking starts. B-boy. Breaking boy starts.
Right.
B-boys. Then you get the crews come in. Zulu Nation first crew. Then you got TBB comes and introduced the rock dancing to it. Then you got Crazy Commandos and Star Child of Rock. What was that? That was Track's little thing, his crew. Rock Steady crew. Then you got Dynamic Rockers. Then you get Incredible Breakers. Then you get the New York City Breakers. Then you see the West Coast, like guys like Fable, who said I wasn't a good breakdancer, but I go to the West Coast and I pick up the popping thing, and they bring the breaking over to the West Coast, and they add the pop lock stuff that the West Coast guys was doing and add breaking into that. And guys like Orko, who is a pop from West Coast, picks that up, and he can go from here, come back over here and do it. Right? And Little Caesar, guys like Little Caesar, picked this up and like, I can keep this thing rock on this thing like real hard. So you see the genesis of the dance here, but then you see the synergy of it starts to pick up other stuff. It picked up the pop rock over here. It picked the rock dance over here. The dance kept evolving. They started adding acrobatics into it, gymnastics into it. It got better and better. Now the stuff they're doing now, a guy told me something. He said, well, the stuff that we were doing that you were not doing, you were not a B-boy because we were doing this. I said, let me ask you a question then. The stuff that the kids are doing now is stuff that you were not doing. Does that mean you're not a B-boy?
Right.
Because you're going to make that argument as it evolves. It's still breakdance. It's still B-boy. It just got better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
Had it not gotten better, it would have died. But because 100. It keeps getting better, that's what makes 100. It so beautiful. Our dance 100. Is forever. Our dance is better than the whole United Nations because we got everybody, every different kind of language, every culture, every race, every creed, every color doing our dance.
Here's the one thing that you just impressed me. There's a lot of guys your age that don't know who Little Caesar is, don't know who Orko is, don't know about Incredible, don't know. Yo, you just blew my mind just now. For you to be as relevant in the scene. You know what I mean?
I did the research on this. That reason being because I actually researched. I started doing the documentary. I started researching it and going out to interview guys and getting people's stories. So I got to meet. And then I did the Hall of Fame. So because we doing the Hall of Fame, I was able to say the first year, the Herculoids first, TBB, and the Zulu Nation, the Zulu Kings for the first year of the Hall of Fame. Then this year, I brought in the Rock Steady crew, Dynamic Rockers, Incredible Breakers, New York City Breakers. And then that's the four-headed monster. And I brought the Air Force Squad from West Coast. Then for the individual awards, I gave it to Ness and to Beaver. Right. And then for the international awards, Sadowski and Carlito from Ecuador. Sadowski from Poland, Carlito from Ecuador. And then for the last of the two blazers was Ness and and the last was the Culture Award, which is the most important award, is the Culture Award, because that's what keeps the culture going. And that was Honey Rockwell and Orko down in Georgia. That was Quick Step and Aaron Rockefeller, New York. It was Asia won, and it was Cross won, because they're doing the B-Boy Summit and freestyle keeps the culture going. So every year we go do those 4 awards. And that makes sure they get recognized.
Yo, Doug, I'm about to drop some bombs right now for you, because no one tells this story. No one tells this story. And I'm glad that Derek is on here, because this is the thing. So when it died, everyone has this thing, right? For us, right? For in the 80s, 86. That's the year that from Caesar, to Lino from Floor Lords in Boston. Outside of Germany, they all still did it, right? But like in America, to them, the year was 86. It's like everyone started doing the Running Man and the WAP, and breaking was dead, right? Like it was like in 1991 in the Bay Area, because there was a DJ culture here, and a lot of people, I'm being Filipino, me myself being Filipino, for whatever reason, we had a scene. And it was like, because Crazy Legs had the Rocksteady DJs, the guy who won the DMC US in 91 was Filipino. His name was DJ Qbert. So Crazy Legs was like, yo, you guys gotta still keep breaking out there. Cause he was trying to bring it back. Him and Quick was already he never stopped. But because Legs was like putting Qbert into Rocksteady crew, there became a West Coast Rocksteady crew. And I'll tell you, and I have shows, and I'll send you the shows, where we had whole scenes that almost were like, as far as DJing, almost just like the Herculoids and Flash. We had this crazy scene, and we had 60 crews back in 91. It was like a mixture of B-boys and all we had was B Street. We weren't good. But Caesar and them were still doing it, but they would get kicked out of clubs. Like, you're doing that old shit. But they would come out to the Bay, and he was like, yo, I come out to the Bay and 300 Filipinos love me. I don't get that love in New York. I don't get that love in LA, but I get it in the Bay Area. And because of that, that's one of the reasons why I brought Radiotron. Because he came up here. And then he went to Japan and Switzerland. But in America, he came here in 1992 and said, okay, I want to bring back Radiotron. If there was no Radiotron, there would be no B-Boy Summit. If there was no B-Boy Summit, there would be no freestyle session. And that's where it's like, boom, in America. And no one tells that story about the Bay Area. And for me, that's why I want to link everything. I was like, all right, what are the moves? Because for me, just like Pluto, I'm like, I'm tracing back moves. Let's trace back the who and the genesis of it and how I'm that dude. I'll tell you why we do what we do and who did what was the style, what was the fashion. And not a lot of the practitioners do that, but I'm one of the guys like, I'll still show you how to do it right now at 47. So I just wanted to give you that little piece for your timeline.
I need to talk to you about that because I need to go to the documentary. I need to talk to you about that,
dude. No, it's a big piece because no one else in America, everyone else in America, when it came back, they say 94. Well, I'll tell you, it was 91 for us, and I got videos too. I got videos on YouTube proving it. So, and the links to the new music seminar even, like, and so it's like, we'll talk. Because I got my history down packed. You know what I mean? Like, and the thing is, a lot of people think it was just LA. It's like, no, we had the scene. It shifted to LA in Radiotron in 94, but in 91, we were like active. Like, we were like, everyone looked at us crazy. Actually, we haven't even connections to why people in Korea do it. It was because of us in the Bay Area. And I'll break that down. I'll give that to you, man. But yeah, but that's the whole reason why I do the show, because I want to make the connections, right? Like, like, we want to see the history, we want to see the timeline, right? What you said,
the line, brother. Keep that line.
And then doing this, right?
Because this way, progress is that way. Like this way, progress goes that way.
Yes. All right, so I just wanted to express that to you, and that's why it's like, you're a part of this, right? You're a part of this, and it's like we're getting very detailed. So now we talked about the past. Let's talk a little bit about the present. Let's talk about this thing right here. Let's talk about boom. How did you come up with this? This is like, okay, like, I don't know why it hasn't been done yet.
Well, let me say this too. I was first brought onto the legacy committee for the USA Breaking when they was first started about going to the Olympics.
Right.
Honey Rockwell, Asia, Quick Step, and Get 'em Up Gump, and Rockefeller.
Okay, word.
And Michael Holman were on the legacy committee with me. And we had talked about this. Someone had talked about it, but no one did anything. So my thing was, as I told him, I said, I'm not good hearing things and not doing. I got to make things happen. That's who I am. So what happened was, I started first by doing, would you see the bottom of that picture? You go up a little higher. you'll see the bottom, and that's all the first generation people right there going across.
Wow. Okay, I didn't even notice that. Hold up.
Yeah, that's all the first generation people going straight across.
Right.
And so I did that first to bring in TBB, the Herculoids, Chuck Center people, TBB and the Zulu Kings into that. The whole start off as the award ceremony recognizing them.
Right.
Then this year I said, now we're gonna make an official Hall of Fame class that come behind us, a Hall of Fame class. The class of 22 to be the first class inducted, even though that's the genesis, because these are the genesis of all the break dances right there.
Right.
So
right.
the first official class be 2022. And so then I went back and got, so we had TBB first Rocksteady. So we got Rocksteady, then you get Incredible, Dynamic, New York City Breakers, and then Air Force Squad from the West Coast to make sure I brought the West Coast in too. Right. So that was what we did for the very beginning. So plus the international culture and the Blazers, the individual Blazers. Right. So that was my idea to start to say, let's make sure we recognize our own, because a lot of people talk about stuff, but they don't do it. And my thing was, it's got to be done. And I beef with a lot of people because I tell them they'll try to sort of airbrush us out. No, there is no hip hop without the B-boys, without the B-girls. There is a hip hop. And let me say this too. From our day one, we had a whole lot of B-girls with us. We had a whole bunch of B-girls with us. And I recognize that, make sure people understand that, especially the young ladies who come into this. A lot got a lot of problems over the course of years not being accepted. But I tell them, there was girls from day one. Right. We had girls from day one. And if you wasn't smart, like good with your stuff, they would smoke you. They would smoke you. They would tear your behind up. I'm telling you. They was like, yo, so you had to be on top of your game. Because they were dancers. They were dancers. And they did their stuff, but you had to be on top of your game because they would smoke you. So, and then once you got burnt, you're like, you couldn't be seen anymore. Because that was just how it was.
Yeah, so let's so we're gonna pull up this stuff. This is from the day of, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Wave, what the hell? Kid Nice from New York City. Okay. Clyde. Yeah. And I'm gonna play this real quick too.
That's right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, what? Okay, so now, so that you fulfilled a missing link for me, which is like you hooked up with USA Breaking, not Breaking for Gold. Shout out to both, right? Shout out to both of them. But that's what I'm saying. It's like it's like even guys that are considered like that are my age don't know about you guys, and I'm considered old, right? I'm and there's guys that are younger that are in the scene that just like again. Their old school is 85 and Beat Street, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then like this generation, forget about it. Their old school is like back in 2009.
That's all Pluto. This is all Pluto. Yeah. Pluto found us. It was Pluto that I give all the credit to him.
Shouts out to Pluto, man.
Found us and brought us together one by one. He found Billy found me. He found Chip found Trixie. Whatever, like that. And we all came together. I think it was in 2000, was it 7 or 9? Right. Yeah, I think it was 2007. We came to the park, to the park of the Bronx there for Old Timers Day. And we started to get together. And then Netflix asked Curtis Blow to do the documentary.
Oh, okay.
About just us. And then Kurt got sick and he had a heart attack and stuff. And Kurt asked me to do the documentary about us. And I decided, if I'm going to do it, let me do everybody and show how the thing totally evolved, just us all the way through. Because some people will say, yeah, you guys there, but you're not this. And you say, oh, you're not this. And once you put us all in one line, then you see how it evolves. You can watch the evolution this way. You can see how the moves change, how each influence came in and made the dance change. You can watch it that way, chronologically, and watch the evolution. So that was my idea to do it that way.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So when is this coming out?
I'm working on. I'm actually working as we speak right now. I'm doing all the transcriptions now because I got like 172 interviews.
Holy crap!
Yeah. Hold on, say this so I can find this thing.
Here's the only problem with the when I zoom up on you on this, it's like you freeze up. That's the only problem. Well, no, you're good right now. So if we
Okay.
can I mean, yeah, if we had a little bit more time, if I would have known you were like you had a trailer out, I would have been like, yo, send me that right now so we could show it right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's all right though. I'll get it
Yeah.
for next time.
Yeah. So okay, so now we talked about the present. What's your plans for the future? Like, all right, you got the documentary coming out. Obviously, that's something that we all like. Someone like me, that want to see that again. The kids these days, they might not want to see it. They're just like, I just want to see TikTok in 15 seconds of you doing a move, like, you know what I mean? But eventually, right? Like,
Yeah. This is
it
your
has to be
history.
like, yeah,
This is your history. If you into this movement, this is your genre, this is your culture. You need to know where your culture comes from, how
right,
your culture evolved, where your culture comes from. And
right.
see, the story I give is that it took me 2 years to find Wallace D, one of the very first ones, Trixie and Wallace. It took me 2 years to find Wallace. When I found Wallace, me, Trixie, I'm telling you how crazy the story is. Me and Trixie and Wallace in the car together, driving to go do the interview. In the car, Wallace and Trixie found out they actually are second cousins. Didn't even know it. They used to dance against each other, dance with each
What?
other, didn't know they were cousins. That's the first thing. We get there, we do the interview. Curtis Blow comes with Little Left. And Little Left and Kurt sit aside. Me, Trixie, and Wallace talk about how we dance against each other. And Wallace says, it's a great thing that we're all together. Like, they're still looking good, boom, boom, boom. 2 weeks later, I'm in Mexico. I get a phone call. Wallace D had died.
Oh, wow.
Literally, about 3 hours later, I get another phone call. Curtis Blow had a heart attack too.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
Wallace died that same day. Wallace had a heart attack right
Wow.
for the police precinct. Wallace died.
Wow.
Kurt lived. Same day they had a heart attack. Both of them. One died, one
Wow.
lived. It took me 2 years to find Wallace. If I didn't get that on tape, I would have been devastated. But then I interview Video from Ready to Rock crew.
Okay.
Get his interview. Video dies. Shabba-Doo. We had a B-Boy call every Tuesday to 9 o'clock. Shabba-Doo's on a call with us for like a year and a half. I'm going to interview Shabba-Doo in California. Before I get there, Shabba-Doo died.
Damn.
Now, I get Squirpy from the Zulu Kings, and we talk about another person that was sick, and I get Squirpy. I'm calling him at Red Bull. I'm calling him saying, yo, I got a ticket for you. Yo, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Because he was supposed to be coming down for the Hall of Fame thing. He didn't show up. And I'm calling him saying, yo, where you at, Squirt? Where you at? Where you at, Shaka? One of the first Zulu masters, 5 Zulu masters who became the Zulu Kings. He died that day. I didn't even know. So that's why I say it's critical that we get this information while these guys are still here, and also give them their flowers and say, these are the guys who made your culture. You need to make sure you give them that kind of respect.
Yeah.
That made this thing, because there is no like I told, there is no hip hop without the B-boys. There's no without the B-girls. There's no hip hop without us.
Yeah.
None. Zero. None. This is our thing.
Crazy, man. So before we wrap it up, we're gonna go to the chat real quick, and I'm gonna pull this video because this is one of the arguments. Dr. Cologne talks about what Doug say about the Caravan video in the 1930s. Is this a precursor to breaking? He thinks not. Let's pull that clip up, and we could talk about it. So okay, because a lot of people are saying this is precursor to breaking. But so what do you think about like this footage where there's like, obviously there's like, precursors to footwork, precursors to the
I saw that.
Yeah. So what do you think about this video?
You see, I think first of all, you can stop it right there. I saw it already.
Okay.
There's no original moves in dancing.
Right.
There's videos of people in Africa doing stuff back in the whatever. You see?
Right.
So there's no original moves. The difference is the music that they did it to. Right. Our music would hurt doing that kind of music that he used. That became the breakdancing music. What made our stuff different. That's all it is. Just the music. That's all it is. So that's cool. I mean, beautiful. There's no original moves. You know what I'm saying? So guys are doing stuff now. Every move you've done, somebody somewhere else has done it before, but not the way we're doing it and to the music that we're doing it to. That's all.
Here's the thing too, and I'll take a modern take on it, right? So for instance, like, obviously because you guys are dancing to breaks, you're dancing to James Brown, you're dancing to like the merry-go-round, you're dancing to these things like the Mexican and stuff like that. Now, we'll take house dancing. They take from breaking, but they're dancing the house.
Yeah.
They take the moves, but the vibe is different. The vibe's totally different.
There's a guy from the Family All Stars, Puerto Rican brother, tearing it up. There's this guy. I mean, he is going hard. But he was about 30 something years old. So somebody used the argument saying, well, look at the moves he's doing. He's Boricua. He was breakdancing. I said he wasn't. He was doing salsa. He was doing some of those moves, but to salsa. And you can't. I said you ain't got to try to squeeze yourself in. You guys are part of this. You ain't got to try to make no kind of ridiculous argument. You know what you did. This culture. You on this line together. It's not who's first. It's who's next. If there's no next, it dies. And that's what people got to get off their mind. Stop fighting about who was first. Who's first makes no difference. It's who's next. It's who is next. And that's what makes it keep growing. If there's no next, it dies. Without a next, it dies. We were here, they were here, he was here, he was here, he was here, he was here. That next, keep the culture keep going. Now the culture's all over. There's 30 million of us now. 30 million of us. 30
Is
million.
that you did the numbers? There's 30 million breaking?
They were saying it's 30 million people now.
I said a million. I didn't think 30 million.
Yeah, that's around the world. You see, now you look at in cultures, look in Asia. Look in Japan, in Korea. That's their whole culture now. You see what I'm saying? You got to look at that and say, we all over the world. We in Russia. Don't even speak the language, but we could get in the dance floor and say, I know that move, I know that move, I know that move. And don't speak the language, but that's our culture that unites us. Breaking unites us. This is what makes our culture so beautiful. We went through the disco era. Everybody was disco back in the days. Disco died. There was the regular stuff, the soul music and the stuff. All that stuff is still not, but it doesn't compete with the breakdance, because breakdance has transcended just that black community, just that Puerto Rican community in the Bronx. Yeah, it's transcended all of that. Yeah, it's all over the world now. That's our culture. That's our culture. God told me when he was in Peru, they would beat them in the streets. They caught them doing this, but they still did it. A girl told me she would dress like a boy for like 5 months just because she wanted to dance, to break dance, because she wanted to do it so bad. She did dance until they got hot one day. And they were taking their shirts off, and she was like, they got me.
Damn. Okay.
That's how deep our culture is. That's what we got.
Right. I think honestly, and that's what people don't realize, because even the quote unquote hip hop purists, again, they stop at Tupac. They stop at Biggie. That's 93. Come on now. Yeah.
Even somebody said, well, the golden age of hip hop is the 80s. Yeah, okay, but where's the 80s without the 70s? There is no 80s without the 70s.
100.
You see what I'm saying? There's none of them without us. None of them. Right. Even when they say, let me say too about rap. They'll say, well, Copeland Rock didn't rap. I hear a lot of guys say that. I'm going like, were you there? Right. You heard somebody else tell you that. I can tell you. I say, Copeland let's say. So you're boogieing with the boogies, you're hustling with the hustlers, you're rocking with the rockers, you're partying with the freaks. That's right, you're partying with the freaks, y'all. We got freaks a lot, freaks galore, freaks you've never seen before. In the house, the DJ Cool Herc Phil, DJ Copeland Rock Phil, young lady, freak for me. That's a Copeland Rock rap. Right. Period. Straight up. Yeah. People say, well, Cope didn't rap. Who told you that? Somebody told you who wasn't there. If they was there, they would tell you. He didn't rap like Melly Mel rap. He didn't rap like Hollywood rap, but he still rap. And he still hit an echo chamber. And his stuff was the echo chamber. That's that. People was paying them money to get their name called out the echo chamber. Because you walk to the Hurt Party and say, Dougie D's in the house, your house. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. You get goosebumps in there. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole culture. That's our culture. I'm getting all excited now. You got me excited, brother.
Yo, I got a story. Few times Hurt came out here. And that's one thing, I remember me and my brother, we dressed like the Blues Brothers one time. He's like, yo, give a shout out to Blues. I was like, yo, man, Hurt fucking said my name. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, I it's done. It's over for me. He said it, and that's why this is important, because a lot of the kids, and I'll say this straight up, the problem with a lot of the kids, they're kind of afraid of the older guys because, they kind of, they're rough around the edges. And for me, I'm that medium guy. Like, no, we need to learn this because this is what's gonna give. Like, just talking to you and putting myself in the imagination, using my imagination and trying to put myself there. It's like, man, that's already making my juices flow as creatively with movements. Like, okay, you know what I mean? That because physically, like you said, you could do everything, but this is what mentors could do. This is why, like, we like to hear these stories. Then you create from that vibe as a b-boy, as a practicing b-boy. It's like it's dope to hear all this type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you
And
one last thing. When
yeah,
Trixie pulled the dildo out, let me tell you about let me say one thing. When Trixie pulled the dildo out, right? Me and my man Rob, check this out. We went back and we learned how to do the Charleston. And we came out and did the give the Charleston on Give It Up, Turn It Loose, flipping each other, doing
okay,
all kind of flips, flipping each other, falling back, spinning, throwing up here, falling up, crawling over, jumping on top of his shoulders. He stood up there doing the robot at the top. I'm breaking the top. He's doing the robot at the bottom and flip me over, back down. I'm on the ground doing stuff. That's what we were doing. The Charleston to Give It Up, Turn It Loose. That's the creativity of this. That's why I want the Americans to do this in the Olympics because that's a part of the American culture. Do
right,
that to breakdancing. You spoke everybody with that.
right.
Everybody.
Man, nah, this is dope, man. This is dope because, like I said, man, like again, like what you're doing is what needs to be done a long time ago, like straight up. And I'm glad. And even the fact that, like I said, like Cross, I remember, like Cross was like super happy, like, yo, I didn't expect to get no award. I just was gonna go to just say what's up. So he was just like, she was like, this is crazy, but and that's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of like the guys after you, a lot of them are kind of sour. I don't know why. They just are. They're kind of sour. And like, you're doing it wrong. It wasn't like back in the day. And it seems like you're like one of the only ones like, yo, we had our time, but we're here for you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
it
I want,
changed. You got to
yeah,
respect change. You can't say it's
yeah,
this and this all it's going to be. It's not. It was
yeah,
this in the beginning. It's this when it was this time. It's this was that time. It's this was the other time. It changed. It kept evolving, and that's why I keep
yeah,
trying to tell people stop fighting to hold on to stuff.
right.
This is kind of crazy. My uncle told me something. The only thing that grows in your hand is your doggone. That's when it grows. He said, "You got to open your hand up. You can't
That's
hold
a good
on to everything like
saying.
this. You can't hold on to everything. You gotta let your hand open your hand up because it has to keep changing. It has to keep evolving. If it doesn't evolve, it dies. And that's what the trick to our stuff is. It kept evolving, and it's been though people try to stop it from evolving, it was too much. It was too strong. It just pushed past them. It kept
Right.
evolving anyway
Yeah.
because a lot of people wanted to keep it. Oh no, it's good like this. You're not doing it right. We didn't do that. Of course you didn't do that. That was your time. You got to respect that. You got to respect the evolution. You have to. You have to.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, let's go to the chat real quick. Dr. Clone says, "Amen, Doug." I think he wants you on his show. He's like, I was like, he had a live right just now, and I was like, I just hit him. I was like, I'm going live with this. You know what I mean? Let's get some, And he's probably gonna clip this. I know him. Like I've subscribed to him. Pluto says exactly. Pluto says the golden age is the worst time in hip hop. Damn. Yo, Hawaii in the house. 808 Breaker says awesome stuff, pro. Hashtag never let go. So where do you see the future? Like besides the Olympics, where do you see the future in breaking? And or where would you like to see it go?
Well, personally,
Oh, we lost him. Okay, let me do a little song and dance until he calls back. I think he signed out. So today, I mean, I didn't expect all this. Like, he broke down a lot of stuff that a lot of people aren't aware of, and like, you still gotta like, do research and stuff like that. But the great thing about Dancing Doug, oh, he's back. The great thing about Dancing Doug again is like he's one of the OGs that actually like, oh, get him. Oh, he's not on yet. Keep calling in, Doug. The thing about a lot of the OGs, like I said, a lot of them are bitter because of they weren't getting the props. No one cares. We, like he's like what Doug said. We did it first. But the thing is, like, if you're not in the scene, how are you going to make a contribution and you're just talking smack? You're just like, You're just like, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is what's doing it right. Like, yo, show up then. You know what I'm saying? Show up then. Go to the events. Like he actually threw an event together and supported these people and gave awards. Like a lot of people feel like they're entitled, and it's just like, yo, we're not. You know, he said, like Doug just said, he just blew me away saying there's 30 million practitioners. I thought there was just a million around the world, but 30 million. And yo, we have to show up. Like we have to go, you know, instead of just like, I need to be flown out and, you know, you have to pay me this much to be here. How about you come out your pocket and support? And that way in the future, maybe these young kids that see you will fly you to an event. And you could maybe not judge, but just be there and experience it and maybe do a panel. And, you know, and I get it. It's a youth culture, you know, breaking is a youth culture, right? But, you know, the thing is like, the elders can't, the elders have to be more like Doug. Like they gotta put themselves out there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that Dr. Cologne is out here. Dr. Derek Cologne is watching because, like, you know, like connected to breaking, like it's a big scene, as Doug said. If there's 30 million practitioners that yet the mainstream media don't know about, and they're about to. Once it hits the Olympics, it's done. It's over. Everyone's doing it again. It's back to the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone's doing it again. So we really need. Oh, I think Doug's coming back. We really need to. Something's going on with his thing. We really need guys like Doug, and I hope that some of the other people watching will support. As I'm waiting for Doug, anything from the chat? Do you guys want me to pull up any clips or have any comments, and maybe we could talk about it while Doug is trying to get back on? Something's going on. Let me hit him up on Instagram. But shout out to the chats. Let's give a shout out to. Let's go down the line. Shout out to Derek, Dr. Derek Cologne. Shout out to Pluto. Shout out to 808 Breakers. Shout out to Drift. He's still trying to get on. I don't know if he can get back on. Something's probably going on with his phone. I see that he's trying to get back on. Let me see. Let's pull out that clip before we sign out, because we have to sign out. Okay. Here, wait a second. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not letting me on. Not letting you on. But yeah, okay. Sorry about that. You know how it goes in the live. But yeah, any comments or questions from the chat? Yeah, man. Okay. Yeah, man, watch your stuff. I didn't realize it was you. Yeah, man. Or you talking Profo or Dancin Doug? But yeah. Again, let me pull out some clips again if we were talking about actually let's pull up Pluto's page on Facebook. Just again, pulling up that Charlie Rock interview. Brought back, because again, I did that interview back in 2017. And let's see. Yeah. Call in again? Okay. To restart your phone. Start your phone and come in again. Come in again. Okay. So let's see. Oh, Profo. My name is Profo. Pro no? Yeah, it's Profo. And we got to talk about, if we want to talk about the experience of the Spaniards colonizing different parts of the world, obviously, you know, Spain has colonized Philippines. That's why we have Spanish last names. And the similarities, actually, of the early hip hop, late 70s, and Filipinos in the Bay Area, and how we had a big DJ scene that was very mirrored, parallel to what you guys did in the early 70s in New York. We could talk about that. They're trying to say Charlie was too young to make that statement. Yikes. Okay. They expect to fall in their laps. There are actually a handful of people reaching out to the OGs, and even less doing it right now. That's 100. Yo, Pluto is like one of the guys. Oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna pull out his page real quick on Facebook. 70s. I want to show you this because like there's again, you know, while we're trying to get Doug back on, we're gonna like, yo, he has so much information, and not a lot of people try to do the research. And again, you know, I'm going to use this platform to kind of just put the, you know, just put information out there and put out narratives out there, and then you guys could be the judges of what's out there. You know what I'm saying? You guys could, you know, you guys could take the information and run with it. Yeah, they expect it to fall in their laps. Nope. You gotta do the work, guys. Even if respect to the OGs, but you gotta do the work. Just to go to this page, you know, has a lot of dope information, a lot of dope pictures, a lot of dope information out there that, yo, it needs to be covered, man. Needs to be covered. Needs to be covered. Where is it? Okay. Just go here. Let me do this real quick. And then we'll sign out because I don't know if we could get Doug back on. He's trying to get on, but I don't know if we could do it because I gotta sign out soon. But let's just go look at this page, 70s rocking page. Shout out to Derek, shout out to Randy. I seen him on the page. Shout out to Pluto. You know, Pluto is basically the guy. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. They talked about. I remember in the interview. I remember now. Like Midas was the one that introduced me to. Shout out to Bboy Midas. There goes Randy right there. There's his comment right there. You know, to Pluto's page. You know, Midas is the one who introduced me to this page, and this is how I met up with Pluto. And after that, doing research of who are the originals, right there, man. Talk about the guys right after Beaver. This is what we're talking about. These are the guys right after Beaver. You know what I'm saying? So let me get back to chat. Let's see. But yeah, guys, we're trying to get Doug back on. But yeah, man. So check out that page on Facebook. Even though like Pluto hasn't really posted, but is he on? Is he on? Is he on? Is he on? But let's check this out. Let's go to where Pluto is at right now on Instagram. He's been posting a lot more lately, which I think is really dope. So boom, and you could follow Pluto on Instagram right here at Homage. Right here. You can follow Pluto at Homage right here on Instagram. Homage. Homage.kru crew, and you can see that, you know, he posted this show right here. You know, Frosty Freeze's birthday. Shout out to Frosty. You know, he put some what's going on right now. Ruggeds won Battle of the Year. Well, I mean, okay, what? Yo, K1. That's Doug, K1. These are the kind of OGs you want to like, you know, you want to be like, right? You don't want to be the ones complaining and stuff like that. But I think I gotta wrap up the show. It's already getting late. I'm gonna hit Doug in the backstage later. Yo, I mean, what's up, K1? Obviously, you see my name like that, Pro 41 K1. What up? Again, I'm gonna schedule a show with you, K. Eventually, again, you know, we have all this. I could actually pull clips of you. Actually, real quick, you know what? I'm gonna just do it now. Since like if we're waiting for Dancin Doug, I might as well like just give a shout out. Yo, man, even though you're not on, I gotta give a shout out to you, okay? Like, yeah, I gotta put you on real quick. I was just talking, yo, Kay. I was just talking to London the other day. He called me up and we had a long conversation. He talked about you and Frosty and you and Pee Wee Dance on the show. So, yo, I just wanted to give a shout out to you. And, you know, if you want to look up one of the guys that's right here. I'm gonna pull up this footage from that show, that London show. I'm pull that up just to, you know, follow K1. He's the man. K1 is the man. Let's pull out that footage real quick. And that's the greatness of YouTube, right? I couldn't do this on what you call it, on Instagram. There goes Pee Wee Dance. Talking about OGs, man, from Harlem. Right there, I see K right there in the back. And they put up. We got Frosty. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, we back. We back. Wait, is he? Where was he? Shout out to Frosty Freeze. Rest in peace. It's not connecting. K1 right here. Come on. Come on. Yo, man. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I could do what I want on my show. Yeah, but shout out to London, too. Shout out to B-Boy London. I saw him at Freestyle Session. He got my phone number. He called me up Friday night, and we talked about his show here. And, yo, like, him coming back to the scene and me saying, like, yo. Yeah. And he coming back, London coming back to the breaking scene and showing what a original guy, you know, or elder is supposed to act at an event. You know what I mean? He's not entitled. Shout out to Speedy D too. There you go. I'm with Pluto. I'm with Pluto. Yo, do yourself a favor. Look up K1. You know what I'm saying? All right. Shout out to London too. All right. Yo, this has been a great show. Thanks for everyone tuning in. Shout out to K1. Shout out to Pluto. Shout out to Derek, Dr. Derek Cologne. Shout out to 808 Breakers. Shout out to Drift. Shout out to all the people that have been on the chat. Not a lot of you, but appreciate you anyway. And before I sign out again, 65% of you are not subscribed. So please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications if you want. That will help the channel a lot, and then the production value can go up. And maybe we could do more. Like maybe I can, you know, that'll help me get to New York and interview everyone. Actually, help me get to Dallas and interview Kay in person. But I'm gonna have you on, Kay. Okay. Again, you can find Dancing Doug on his Instagram, Dancing Doug _DDTCSI789. You can hit him for any questions over there. And you can hit me on Instagram at PROFO_FLGZ. This has been the Trades with first generation B-Boy Dancin Doug. I want to say thank you, peace, and see you guys later. Peace out, y'all.